Planet Vero Studios, brought to you by Evergreen Media, creating cohesive marketing campaigns. Evergreen Media in Vero Beach.
Hello, hello. Welcome back to Lady Jane Explains. I am here tonight with one of my favorite people on the planet, Mink Tyner, owner of Mink House Tattoo, amongst many other things, but also a local homegrown Vero Beach native who is a philanthropist, an entrepreneur, and just a warrior in our community for the less fortunate. Hey, Mink.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good.
Excellent. Thank you so much for inviting me on your show today.
How could I do this without you? You know, it's funny. We were talking earlier with the Evergreen media staff, and just we've known each other for so long, and to see the come up for both of us, you know, from where we started. But I think Real has always recognized Real, and just the level of caring that we had for the people around us.
Very much so, and the sense of community that we've managed to maintain for so long, and the fact that we've been able to come full circle and to be the pillars in the community that we are now. The opportunities that we have created for ourselves and others are just phenomenal in the fact that we're able to continue planting seeds to grow. And the fact that we're able to work together is an amazing thing. And I'm honored to be here and to be able to call you a friend still after so many years, and to be doing the things for the community that we are.
Amen.
Absolutely.
So one of the first things that I wanted to talk about tonight is what we're currently involved in with Indian River Prep, which for community members that don't know, Indian River Prep up until this year was known as ACE, the Alternative Center for Education. And for middle school and high school students in Indian River County, basically if you get in trouble at your home school, that's where they send you. If you can't go back to your home school for a while, that's where they send you. And for most kids, that can be, you know, a few days, a few weeks, maybe a few months. And so for the past 5 or 6 years, I've been involved with a program called Winners Walk Tall, where we go in and we bring in speakers. Mink and myself have both shared the experience of being one of those kids.
Absolutely.
And overcoming that.
Yeah.
So we bring in speakers to talk to the kids about, you know, this is what I went through. This is how I got out. This is the trouble that I had to go through before I got out. And so this year, though, it really has morphed into something more.
Yes. Yes. Honestly, I think what we're doing with forming the PTA is providing hope and creating a network for a lot of these students that they otherwise would not have had. And that's a lot of the drive that I have here. You know, I want to be the person that I needed when I was a kid. So now that carrying over into my adulthood, you know, of course, I would want to get involved with these. These are our young leaders. These are the kids in the community that aren't going to take no for an answer when somebody tells them they can't do something. This is the energy that we need to focus. So, of course, naturally, we want to do our best to focus that and hone that in so that it's more constructive and less destructive. A lot of these kids just don't have the guidance, and sometimes that's a generational thing. Sometimes that's a thing where they just absolutely don't have the support or, you know, the parental set at home to be able to support them in matters and guide them. So the simple fact that a lot of these kids are here for such a short period of time, that alone is why, you know, obviously, you know, that there's never been a PTA. There's never been anything to support these kids like that. So obviously we've set out to change that. So.
And I think a part of that too is not just supporting the kids, but the staff, the teachers, the administration. You know, there's some of them that, you know, cycle in and out, but there's some of them that have been there year after year after year that are just really so dedicated to those kids. And I feel like they feel forgotten.
Yes.
Like we just had Teacher Appreciation Week.
Yes.
And this was the first time for them that, you know, people outside in the community came in and, you know, it was coffee and donuts one morning. Mink provided 2 days of a massage therapist coming in to do some shoulder rubs for the staff. But, like the letter that they wrote us afterwards, just how much they appreciated being seen.
Nice. Yeah.
You know, whether or not your child is a troubled child, these kids are growing up next to your children.
Very much so.
They're either going to be leaders beside your children or trouble beside your children. So how involved do you want to be in not just your own children's life, but in the future of our community?
Exactly. And that's the way I feel about it. As a community, as a whole, as a society, we can only really be as good as the less fortunate in our society. So if we go ahead and we make sure that these children, with this energy and with this determination that they already possess, the kids that have already had to wake up and pull themselves up by their bootstraps, as so many people like to say, if we take that energy and we hone that in and we guide that and we focus that, by all means, when they grow up, they're going to be more productive members of society. This is how we make society and community stronger. So,
amen. And I know one of the things that you get, because I've been there with you and seen it happen just on small scale, so I can't imagine, is people look at you and they think, oh, I know better.
Oh my God, it's going to rob me. No, I don't know.
How many businesses do you own?
4 and counting.
And I don't think you could even begin to count the number of nonprofits in this community that you support.
No, I really can't. I try to do everything that I can within my means to support everything and everyone. Everything is a worthy cause, you know, and the world needs saving, and I feel like it's my responsibility, and I know you feel like it's your responsibility. Anyone that has it in them, they feel like it's their personal responsibility to save the world, and there's only so much we can do, but, you know, we're trying. And
I think our focus on the future of the world is definitely very worthy. I will say, if you are interested in getting involved as a community member with the PTA for these children, please email me at ladyjaneexplains@gmail.com. Like we said, a lot of the parents are transient. You know, their kids are in and out. They don't really stay there for long. So we really need community support to make sure that we're supporting these kids, we're supporting these teachers, we're supporting the staff at Indian River Prep. So again, ladyjaneexplains@gmail.com. Please let me know. We're going to take a really quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about some other really cool projects that we're both kind of involved in.
Wild, untamed, hilarious. Riverside Theater's Comedy Zone. Experience the Treasure Coast's best stage for live stand-up comedy this Friday and Saturday night at 7 and 9 p.m. You'll laugh till it hurts. Start your night at Live in the Loop with live entertainment, food and drinks, and after, be entertained with nationally ranked comedians, including an opening act and headliner with cabaret-style seating and food and drink table service. Get tickets at riversidetheater.com.
Advertising is essential. You've got to make people aware that you're there. We can do that with a cohesive marketing campaign from Evergreen Media. Based on your business goals, we'll create a mix of digital advertising on social media sites like Facebook, video advertising on streaming sites like Hulu and Paramount Plus, and supplement them with local TV and radio ads. Build awareness, educate, and inform the public with a cohesive marketing campaign by Evergreen Media. Check out egreenmedia.com or search online for Evergreen Media in Vero Beach.
Start your day with fuel in your tank with breakfast at Marsh Landing. You'll love our biscuits and gravy, sweet potato pancakes, or eggs Benedict with a fried green tomato. And how about a mimosa or a monster Bloody Mary? It's breakfast, old Florida style, at Marsh Landing in Fellsmere.
Time to take on those spring projects. Sturgis has lumber, hardware, and paint supplies. And for convenience, no one beats Sturgis. Just a stone's throw from Grand Harbor and Waterway Village at 4645 US 1 Vero. Sturgis Lumber and Hardware, more than just lumber.
This is Lori Davis, host of Your Realtor for Life with Lori Davis, and you're listening to Planet Vero Radio, real local talk radio from 2 to midnight, weekends on Real Radio 1017.
Why did the composer stay in bed? To finish writing their sheet music. You're listening to Planet Vero Radio, local talk radio from 2 to midnight, weekends on Real Radio 1017.
Welcome back to Lady Jane Explains. Once again, we want to give a huge shout out to our sponsors, the people that make it happen. Tonight, it's Mink's House Tattoo. I know you're going to see the website, the Facebook page coming up. Please know that this is an organization that really supports so many of the good things going on in our community. And I am so proud to welcome the owner of Mink's House Tattoo, Mink, onto our show. Before the break, we were talking about what we do at Indian River Prep, but another really fun project that we got to do together this year, which I will be honest, I had a preconceived notion.
Me too.
And so I think you and I agree that we kind of walked in like, we want to check this out. What's really going on here?
Absolutely.
Was Miss Treasure Coast. We both got to be judges for the Miss Treasure Coast competition. And I'm going to let you speak first, but I know I didn't get what I expected.
Not at all. Not at all. And so I've always had the state of mind that to solve certain issues or to get a better bearing on certain issues, you have to place yourself in those issues. So myself, being an advocate for child safety and, children being in safe environments, of course, when it was brought to my attention, hey, Miss Treasure Coast, and I know Colleen runs Miss Treasure Coast in the area. She asked me to be one of her judges as well as she did you. I looked at this as an opportunity, whereas, this is already in industry pageants. They're already under a lot of fire because in some pageants, there's some unsavory practices regarding the children. So by all means, when something comes my direction, it's like, hey, I have that chance to have that little bit of insight on it. I'm going to take that opportunity. So by all means, I took that opportunity, and I was extremely and pleasantly surprised by what I found, particularly by this organization. Now, I can't speak for other organizations, but this particular organization, Miss Treasure Coast, I was pleasantly surprised, and I was actually very proud to be a judge, and to be part of the program. And now I've decided to sit in on the board as well. That way I can continue to be a part of it. And I was impressed, honestly, by all the young ladies that participated. I was just flabbergasted by their presence and their drive and the programs that they've already established themselves to help their communities and their respective causes that they've all found, and all worthy causes. They're amazing young women.
I felt the same exact way. So for those of you that might not understand the process, there was kind of the end of the day pageant performance where they did, their talent, and they came out in their ball gowns. But earlier in the day, we had one-on-one judge interviews with each of the contestants where they had to talk to us about what their social platform was. Like, what was the cause that they were passionate about? Why? They got a few minutes to talk about it, and then there was some question and answers. There was laughter, there were some tears, there was a whole lot of passion, but it kind of, once again, reminded me that what I say to people, if you think that these younger generations are anything to be played with, no, you just don't understand them. If you think they're snowflakes cause avalanches and winter is coming, and these kids are a force to be reckoned with.
They really are.
I was so impressed. I felt the same way. Like, I walked in skeptical and I walked out like, Miss Treasure Coast, what do you need?
So, and what's so impressive about it is when you're talking about doing the interviews for these young ladies. So what happens is they come in for the interview and there's a board. Basically, it's a board type setting. There's 5 or 6 of us, and we rapid fire. We just put them on the spot and we rapid fire them. Questions, just boom, 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 boom. We absolutely grill them as if they're in there looking for a position as, a CEO, a young CEO. So we're in there rapid firing these questions. And the thing is when they're going through these programs, a lot of these young girls, by the time they're to the point where most other kids are finishing their college, by the time they finish their college courses, they will have already completed over 125 board reviews. So that being said, when they complete their courses and they go in to get their position or have their interview, they have all the confidence in the world. They've already done 125 board, interviews. So by all means, you can put them on the spot and they're going to just nail it every single time. That's whereas other kids coming out of college, you put them in a spot, you put them in there in front of 5 or 6 people, you start rapid firing them questions, they're not going to handle themselves quite as eloquently, you know. I mean, some kids will, you know, but at the end of the day, these girls, they're prepared and they're ready. And that's what this program does. It prepares them to be young leaders and strong women. And I think that is an amazing thing.
Absolutely. And I think it was really obvious to us too, because there was like the junior section and then there was the older girls. And you could see, first of all, the difference between the younger ones and the older ones.
Yes.
But then even within that, in reading their bios, like the young lady who won, and forgive me, I'm horrible with names, but I will post her in my post. The young lady who wound up winning Miss Treasure Coast, her poise, her eloquence.
Yes.
I mean, I was again skeptical walking in. Is it just going to be favoritism? No.
Yeah.
The girls who won, really, from the private interview to their talent, to their ball gown, just their presence, they really, head and shoulders, deserve to win. Yeah. And even the runners up too. There was one runner up in the older categories that I just really resonated with. The background was very similar to mine.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I even asked the people that were in charge, like, is it okay if I reach out to her after this? And they were like, yes, as long as you don't discuss the competition. But just when it came to the girls that won, and that's not to say that every girl that wasn't there, every girl, young lady and woman, because there was various ages, that's not to say that every one of them was not deserving.
Oh yeah, of course.
But you could just see who had more preparation, more experience.
A little more refined, of course. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's what these programs do, it's basically like a refining process for young ladies that are looking to get into boss positions, because these girls, they're going for it. So.
And it was such a juxtaposition for me too, like especially sitting next to you, where I'm used to sitting next to you, talking to these kids who have not had any privilege, have not had any opportunity, are just like the hustlers that are surviving the best they can. And then to go to the extreme opposite, where a majority of these young ladies came from families that, you know, and that's not a judgment. I am proud that I was able to give my children more opportunities than I had.
That's
and
all
I want them to give their children even more opportunities than they had. So that's not a judgment, but just to say, these young ladies had more opportunities, but the things that they're doing with those opportunities.
Exactly. That is the key.
Yeah.
That is the key.
Yeah. I didn't feel like any one of them felt superior.
No.
They felt a responsibility.
They did. Exactly. And I like that. There wasn't, there was camaraderie amongst them as well. Like, yes, it's competition, but it's healthy competition. It's good competition. And they're all still supportive of each other, even as competitors. And I think that's an amazing characteristic as well.
Absolutely.
So.
And, you know, we've only got a couple minutes left. I'm going to shift the focus back onto you for a minute.
Ooh.
Because, again, like I said before, I think some people see you and they're like,
of course.
Should I clutch my pearls a little tighter to my chest?
Don't worry, I'm not here to rob you, and I can definitely afford to eat at the same place as you. Don't worry.
And you also live in your personal life, the things that you preach about in your public life. So can you tell me a little bit about your family?
Oh my goodness. So I have 4 wonderful children and a beautiful wife that honestly is my counterpart and the reason why I'm able to even accomplish most of the things that I am. She's so supportive. She's so wonderful with all the children. 3 of our children we've actually adopted together. They're my nieces and they're all, 3, 11, and 13 now. And then our oldest son, Sean. And they're wonderful kids. I couldn't ask for a better family unit, honestly, and a more supportive one. And they support me and put up with all my crazy harebrained ideas and, you know, all the things that I get myself into. And of course, it's for the greater good. But at the end of the day, they do really well with keeping up. So very thankful for them.
And we've had some shenanigans together. I think one of my favorite stories that you and I... So my youngest daughter, she's a handful. Well, let's just say she's a good handful. She's a good handful, but she's a handful.
Of course.
But she was going to a a certain space where she got to know another girl who my daughter, came in like knocking on my bedroom door 10 o'clock at night. Mom, one of my friends is in trouble. And it was someone that we mutually knew. Mm. And her mother had relapsed and invited back into the house a man who had been previously removed from the household for domestic violence and inappropriate behavior. So here we are, 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah. Yep.
Rolling up to the house.
Pull-up game is strong. Don't ever doubt it. Pull-up game is strong.
We will pull up. And luckily, Mom was smart enough and receptive enough to let us take the children with us.
Absolutely.
And, they wound up placed with Grandma, but just, I love the fact that that pull-up game is strong with you. There's been many situations together and outside of each other where I know we've pulled up.
Absolutely.
And again, if you need some pull-up game is strong here. Lady Jane Explains at gmail.com. You can remain anonymous. We will pull up because our number one priority is making sure that people in our community are safe, especially the most vulnerable.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Absolutely. And we do. I do get phone calls from persons, schools, whatnot, that network with me if they need a removal or need somebody to get picked up to taken to a safe place. In the past, I have provided safe places for people, until they had permanent housing. But I definitely will never leave somebody in a hazardous or harmful situation, particularly children. Or the vulnerables. So by all means, that's what we're here for. It's Absolutely. What community does. So,
amen. And that's not to say that we don't work with community. I think both you and I have great relationships with local law enforcement, with local social service agencies. We're not just rogue out here willy-nilly doing what we do. We just
not
are
at
filling
all.
A space.
As a matter of fact, those organizations tend to call me too.
Yeah.
So when it's out of their hands, they know they can put it in my hands sometimes. So I'm always here to help.
Mink, I am just so privileged and proud to call you a friend. It has
likewise
lasted through all these years. Like I said at the beginning, you are definitely one of the most amazing human beings that I've been blessed to know, and I cannot wait to see what the next 20 years of friendship brings us.
Hopefully it'll bring us some tiny homes and some kids aging out of foster care having a better future. So
are we going to come back again for an affordable housing conversation?
I believe so.
I'm itching to get into the affordable housing conversation because if you don't know, I am very much involved also in the affordable housing conversations going on across town.
I completely agree.
We could talk for hours and hours, but we are running up on time. Thank you so much for tuning in to Lady Jane Explains. I cannot tell you how privileged I feel to have this platform. And again, if you're interested in sponsoring, if you're interested in being a guest, if you have a topic, if you have a rant, if you have a rave, if you want to tell me to shut the F up, LadyJaneExplains at gmail.com. We'll see you next time.